crucial, the issue of whether to allow a casino in Springfield is going back to the voters. More on Tuesday's decision by the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court coming up.
The school committee tackles the hot-button issue of standardized tests. It's the MCAS versus the new PARCC test. Details just ahead.
With space at a premium at Town Hall, the school committee gives the green light for the town's cramped IT department to move out. We'll tell you when and when.
The Carnival is coming to town. Preparations are already underway as East Longmeadow gets ready to celebrate the 4th. We'll have a look at what's in store this year.
And members of a new committee are looking for help as they try to figure out what to do with the old Brown Farm property.
Those stories ahead on ELCAT News Week in Review.
And I'm Yasmina GB. We begin tonight with a landmark decision by the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court.
With a 7-0 vote Tuesday, the SJC ruled that Massachusetts residents will have a chance to vote on whether to allow casinos in the state.
It's a decision that could repeal the state's 2011 casino law. The state's gaming commission had voted to grant the sole Western Mass license to MGM, with plans for a casino in Springfield South End. However, Tuesday's vote paves the way for a showdown on the November ballot. Casino opponents are applauding the SJC's decision, saying that while sites and towns have had the chance to vote on proposed casinos, residents in the entire state should be able to do the same. Casino supporters, such as Springfield Mayor Dominic Sarno, say they're disappointed with the decision. However, they say they're ready for a campaign and confident that voters will back the Gaming Commission. For MGM's part, any effort to build a casino in Springfield will now be delayed until after November's election.
Checking news in East Longmeadow, the Board of Selectmen met Tuesday with several key items on the agenda. The first, the much-anticipated Elm Street Project. Superintendent of Public Works Robert Perrion outlined the construction work set to begin on July 7th. He emphasized that, due to the lack of alternative routes, the street will remain open throughout the entire project. However, there will be significant disruption and delays for motorists and residents. Perrion says the contractor will begin moving equipment into the area north of Mapleshade prior to the start of the actual construction. The project is slated to take about a month.
The schedule for the project is that we have been adamant with Palmer, and they've been very agreeable that we do not do any work south of Mapleshade before July 7th, that we get through the 4th of July parade with no impacts other than painting of utilities on the street and things like that you may have seen already. And we expect that start to finish, that's probably about a month-long process. So, there will be significant disruption to residents in town for, most of a month. The street won't be shut down for any periods of time, but at least one lane will likely be shut down during the construction process. And there will be delays. There'll be times when the contractor has to move equipment around, and all traffic may stop for 5 minutes or 10 minutes while they're remobilizing equipment. So we're strongly encouraging that people find different ways to get through town and get to Springfield during that construction interval, because there will be delays, without a doubt.
In other business, the board held off endorsement until Friday of 2 bond issues presented for signatures. The bonds cover borrowing approved at town meeting for a portion of the Pine Knoll Pool project and the Harkness Avenue pump station.
So what we have is a bond anticipation note, a ban. Went out to bid last week and got a very favorable rate. 1% coupon rate, which is tremendous. It's for the borrowing of the Pine Knoll swimming pool and of the Harkness Road pump station. So the total amount of borrowing is $1,181,082. And this is the standard procedure to finalize the process, to return the documents to the financial advisor, and then the funds could be released to us.
With regards to the review of the bonding documents that have been presented to us today, we are going to, I will entertain a motion to reconvene on Friday at 10 o'clock to have the bonding document signed, if that is to the pleasure of our board.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Finally, the Board of Health voted to advertise for a health inspector. Board of Health Chairman Billy Gorman proposed that the position be expanded from 10 hours per week at $15 per hour to 19 hours per week at $22 per hour, saying that it's impossible at the current rate to retain a qualified person for the position.
We're going to have to entertain advertising for another health agent. And the reason I get from the last 2 or 3 that we've had is because the pay is not enough and the hours aren't enough. And they can't make a living off what we're paying them.
Is it possible that you could start off with 15 hours with an increase of the pay and see how it goes?
We're in deep trouble right now because we're not doing what we're supposed to do with the health agent. We're supposed to be inspecting schools every 2 years with these eating establishments every 2 years, and we haven't done this.
I can meet you halfway with 15 hours, and then the increase of 22 hours, and then to come back and visit.
The thing is, Angela, I can't keep going through this. I shouldn't have to be going out on these. I'm only the liaison.
Right.
Those people got the credentials to go out.
Right.
To learn what to do. We can't keep people. We can't even get them to come sometimes. Their hours, first we started in the morning, they were coming. Now they can't come in the morning. Now they can only come in the afternoon. And now we can barely get them in the afternoon to come. It's just it's not enough hours, not enough money for these people.
I would ask for a motion of 15 hours a week at $22 an hour with the provision that we can revisit it to see if that's enough hours for that position.
All in favor?
Aye.
In other news tonight, an important step in the process of possibly changing the way students take standardized tests in East Long Meadow.
State officials are pitting the new PARCC assessment test against the MCAS test, now in place here and throughout Massachusetts.
The school committee met earlier this week to take on the issue, and as you'll see, reaction is mixed.
Students across the nation and in Massachusetts have their experience with standardized testing. The Massachusetts Comprehensive Assessment System, or MCAS, is involved in students' education from 3rd grade to 10th grade. Now, with changing times, the MCAS may get pushed out by the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers, or PARCC test. The school committee discussed changing standardized testing at their meeting earlier this week, where the committee appeared to have several different opinions on the issue.
The leadership team did think that a recommendation that would be good for the district and for the students would be to possibly utilize the PARCC assessment in a paper and pencil mode next year for grades 3 through 8, and then keep MCAS for grades 9 through 11.
Personally, I'd be like, you go play with other states and I feel it's using our kids as guinea pigs. I mean, let's keep with the MCAS, let them refine this, and then teach them all the good things that the Common Core has.
The test can be given in a variety of manners regarding grade levels, online exams, or pen and paper exams, all with fast approaching deadlines in mind.
If the school committee wants East Long Meadow Public Schools to become an early adopter, we have to make a decision by June 30th. If not, you can make a decision by October 1st. The motivation to be an early adopter is that the state will guarantee that what you choose will be what you get. Such as if you were to choose PARCC, paper and pencil, grades 3 through 8, and MCAS in grades 9 through 11, they guarantee that will happen. There will be materials ordered, you will have what you want. What they tell you is if you wait until October 1st, then there is no guarantee.
So what are the differences found between the PARCC test in comparison to the MCAS? Superintendent Gordon Smith explains.
That PARCC is an example of what the State Department of Education is calling this new generation of assessment, where it's asking students to look at a couple different texts, passages, and then from those different text passages actually develop their own thought and idea that they would put together using evidence from those different text passages.
Although PARCC can be widely administered, MCAS would still have to be given because as of yet, PARCC has no science exam or graduation determination exam like the grade 10 MCAS. But it's all about the Common Core standards, says Smith.
Right now, PARCC has both ELA and math. Math, it's probably a little bit more aligned to what the Common Core state standards are asking students to do. So PARCC as an assessment is more aligned to the Common Core state standards than MCAS. MCAS is continuing to, and has made revisions, but the state has said that they will, whether it be PARCC or whether it be some other version of the MCAS, they will be going to what they're calling a new generation of assessment.
The school committee decided to delay the decision for discussion about the new generation of state assessment, bypassing the June 30th deadline in which test materials would have been guaranteed.
And then the next deadline is October 1st, where we still can make those same decisions. We can still decide, okay, we may want PARCC for these grade levels and MCAS for these grade levels, or the choice, stay MCAS entirely. You can look at a number of different things. We can make that decision by October 1st. The only part that the state has let us know is that there's no guarantee. If you were to choose PARCC, they can't guarantee that they will have the materials if you haven't made your decision by June 30th.
In other news tonight, for 6 years, the town's IT department has been fighting for a larger working space. Today, they are one step closer to moving out of the cramped town hall and into a new space at the high school. At the school committee meeting held Monday, committee members gave the IT department permission to move into the ELHS computer lab. ELCAT talks with Ryan Quimby, the town's IT director.
We outgrew our space quite a long time ago in the town hall. It's really the second time we outgrew it. The first time we got some additional space in town hall, but now it's town hall's busting at the seams, so I think with us moving out, it would relieve a good amount of pressure as far as employees and staff go.
Right now, the IT department is composed of 6 employees and 60 servers, so supporters of the move say it's easy to see why a bigger space is needed. But what is going to happen to the school's computer lab? Quimby says a mobile lab will be added.
For the students and the teaching staff, they won't have to leave their classroom now. They can actually bring basically the computer lab to their classroom, which will be in the form of a cart.
Quimby says working in the high school will be a huge help, and a couple of positive changes will be in store for students and teachers.
For the high school, I think is probably benefiting the most because having IT actually in the building, especially when we're changing platforms from PC to Apple and continuing our growth with Google Apps. We're rolling out Google accounts for all the students. There's, most of our student population is here. Most of our workload comes from the high school. So having us right here just saves time and makes everything more efficient.
Quimby says they're hoping to make the move this summer before school starts, but they still have to get permission from the Board of Selectmen. They also have to meet with the DPW before final plans are made.
As you know, if you have cable television, Charter Communications is the only game in town. However, as ELCAT reported several weeks ago, Comcast Communications has proposed a charter buyout. A decision by the FCC on whether to allow the buyout isn't expected until next spring. In the meantime, here in East Longmeadow, a public hearing earlier this week provided a sounding board for residents not happy with their current provider.
A strong turnout for the cable advisory meeting held earlier this month. Many residents turned out to hear the pending change from Charter to Comcast. Charter Representative Tom Cohan explained what's in the works.
We have again, a pending transaction with Comcast. It's contingent upon a larger deal, Comcast purchasing Time Warner and getting all of the federal approvals they need. They have a petition with the FCC and the Federal Trade Commission to approve a Comcast purchase of Time Warner. Time Warner is about 11 million customers. There seems to be some magic threshold in the eyes of the regulators in Washington at 30 million. So I think to probably smooth the path to confirmation of that deal in Washington, Comcast and Charter have a deal that will allow Charter to purchase 1.4 million of the Time Warner customers after the Comcast purchases them in the Midwest. Charter will become primarily a Midwest cable company.
Many residents, however, came to air their concerns regarding Charter service, including increases in fees and interruption in cable services.
My bill went up about a year or two ago. I took a look at the details to find out what the change was, and I found this specific charge for a franchise fee. And my franchise fee went from 54 cents to $4.54, which computes out to an increase of 840%.
I'm not here to talk about how good my service is from Charter, because since February 14th, I've had issues with my cable line. It's underground, unfortunately.
As the cable license renewal process continues and as the Charter Comcast deal progresses, the Cable Advisory Committee is holding another public hearing. This one is on September 18th at 7 p.m.
The bike trail is a popular spot for town residents to get some exercise.
However, if you use the rail trail, you may have noticed lately some graffiti painted on granite benches and other signs that some users aren't exactly taking care of the trail. In fact, as East Longmeadow Sergeant Pat Manley explains, graffiti has become an issue in town, particularly in unsupervised areas.
We do receive complaints from time to time of vandalism along our bike trail. In the center area, there's quite a bit of graffiti and malicious damage and that type of activity along the old rail line. Now, part of the old rail line has been developed into a bike trail, and that gets quite a bit of traffic, foot traffic. So it's more difficult for people to commit a criminal act there and not be seen. But from time to time, things do occur along the bike trail. The areas of the rail line that are not developed get a lot of foot traffic from kids and the young people, and there's unsupervised behavior going on, and that includes a lot of graffiti and tagging and damage, reckless behavior. So yes, those areas are a little harder to enforce. The access isn't as easy to get in and out, and some of the businesses in the center area that back up to the old rail line do get quite a bit of graffiti and damage.
Sergeant Manley says there are severe consequences for anyone caught defacing property, public or private.
Well, either town property or private property, if it's over $250, that's a felony. That can end up, you're always going to have to do restitution. The court's going to order that. And if you get convicted of a felony, that can limit your ability to get jobs, to go to school, to do a lot of things. So you really don't want to be involved in that kind of behavior. And I think if some of the younger people knew that and knew the consequences, they might think twice. If you're on the bike trail and you see somebody who's causing damage or something, if you have the ability to call the police, please do. If you don't, when you get back to your car, if you could just let us know, we can try to increase our patrols for the times when these are more likely to occur. So if we know somebody calls and tells us, I saw it happen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we know to try to put somebody in the area at 3 o'clock. But if we just get a call from the owner, gee, sometime over the weekend this happened, it's difficult to pin down what's the best time to deploy people in that area. If you see it happening and you call and give a good description, we might be able to actually apprehend the people.
Anyone with information is asked to contact the East Longmeadow Police Department.
You know it's almost the 4th of July when the Carnival starts setting up in town. With festivities just around the corner, we thought we'd take a look at what's in store and precautions that are in place to make sure that this year's festivities are fun and safe.
The annual East Longmeadow Carnival is back in town. Starting June 30th, residents will once again be able to enjoy rides, food, and music. With the carnival, of course, comes a few safety concerns, so ELCAT sat down with East Longmeadow Police Department Sergeant Jeffrey DeLessio.
Over the years, we've had scuffles, fights, and other incidents that require our presence down there. And relatively, considering the amount of people are there, it's a relatively quiet and enjoyable event.
With that being said, DeLessio reminds parents and other residents of a few carnival safety tips.
Things that parents should do is realize that the carnival, although it's for all ages, obviously, it shouldn't be a dumping ground and a babysitting program and left the kids alone to wander. If they're age suitable, that's one thing, but if they're not, parents really should mind that there is a lot of people down there of all different ages, and that they shouldn't really leave the younger kids unattended. They should stay with them. Make sure that if you're going to enjoy the festivities, do it in a responsible way, and pretty much go about and act accordingly in an orderly manner. Everybody wants to have a good time, but we all want to have a safe time with that.
Several different elements must combine to make the carnival fun, safe, and enjoyable for all.
Well, our aspect of it is the security for the 4th of July. We get a great support from the DPW. They take care of a lot of our barricades that we're looking for, the cleanup of the trash and stuff like that, and the moving of the barricades. We get great support from the DPW.
Plans for a 200-acre plot of town-owned land are under consideration. The old Brown property located off of Hamden Road was purchased by the town back in 2009. When town residents approved the purchase, it was presented as a possible option for much-needed athletic field space, among other uses. However, since that town meeting, the property has sat largely vacant. Last year, a section of the land facing Hamden Road was turned into a community garden. And just last month, the Board of Selectmen appointed Planning Board member Ralph Page and Recreation Director Colin Drury to form a committee to explore options. ELCAT caught up with Drury, who says he and Page are working hard to form that committee and to get familiar with the land itself.
Ralph and I have met probably half a dozen times at this point, just to kind of get all the different pieces out there. So almost you can take it a la carte and say, you know, the committee wants this, this, that, and this, and that's going to cost this. And then also walking the property. We've been on the property 3 or 4 different times just to kind of look at the topography of it. You know, is it possible to put a football field? Is it possible to put a lacrosse field on that property? Or is it just way too much work and it's the wrong property for that, but the right property for this? It is a great property to own as a town. It does give us 200 plus acres that we won't see houses built on, so we can keep that kind of small town feel to us, and hopefully keep it as a recreation property, you know, forever and ever for the town. So,
Drury says the hope is to get committee members made up not only of town officials, but also of residents of Anna Marie Drive, the street that abuts the Brown property.
Our goal is to get someone from the neighborhood that's right next to the Brown property. So hopefully we can get myself, someone from the Recreation Commission, Ralph Page, someone from the Planning Board, and someone who is actually lives in that neighborhood to kind of have the best interests of the people who are local to the property. And then our goal is to come up with an idea. Whether it's going to be a playground, some fields, a splash pad, you know, whatever it might be, we need to have, I think, people from planning, people from rec, someone who is, you know, directly affected by what might happen there. That way we can figure out what's best for the town as a whole, that we can serve the masses as opposed to serve such a small little area.
As for a time frame, Drury says they hope to have the committee formed by this summer. As for work on any plans for the property,
my guess is we're a few months away from hopefully having some type of plan, a basic plan, and then soliciting companies to get us on a budget, you know. So hopefully, you know, how much does the field cost? How much does the splash pad cost? Putting all those items together so that way we can make a presentation to the selectmen, to the town, just saying, okay, so if this is the idea that we think, it's going to cost this much. So that's the goal of the committee right now.
If anyone is interested in more information or in joining the committee, Drury says you can contact him directly at colin.drury@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Or he says you can stop by the Recreation Department at any time. A local historical landmark got a financial boost over the weekend.
The Norcross House is in need of a few repairs, and thanks to a weekend tag sale and artist event, organizers are one step closer to funding the project. If you're not familiar with the Norcross House on Maple Street, it dates back to the 1800s when quarries in town were in operation. We asked Levita Munoz, a member of the Board of Directors, to give viewers a history lesson.
Well, the Norcross House is an old house. It was built in around 1880, and it was the home of a quarry family, the Norcross family from Worcester, Massachusetts. They sent their 19-year-old son here to spend his summers, and he was the supervisor of 7 quarries in this town. There happened to be approximately 30 quarries total in the town at that time. This is one of the older homes in this town, and the Norcross Center feels that it's important to keep the history of this town alive. Since this town was founded upon the quarrying industry, and this house is so related to a quarrying family, it seemed worthwhile to save it. So approximately 11 years ago, a group of preservationists raised money to purchase this home. Subsequently, the town became involved in the home, and the home is debt-free now, and it's managed by the Board of Directors of the Norcross Center.
Munoz says the Norcross House is also available to the community.
Besides being an old historical home, it is also a place that you can come with your family and or friends, and you could hold a wedding party here, a birthday party. You could schedule a bridal shower here. The house is available for rent, and you can use it as a gathering place for your family and friends.
All money collected during the weekend fundraiser will go directly towards such things as a new roof and other repairs to the house and carriage house.
The community can become involved with this house by attending various functions that are held in this home. Those functions generally are fundraising events that help to support the house. We have an electric bill every month. We have a heating bill, so that we need to do that. And currently, we are trying to raise money to repair the roof.
All total, yes, the tag sale and artist event raised about $1,000.
I think they did a great job. I'm going to have to stop over there and check it out before they do the repairs on my way to the carnival this year.
Yeah, absolutely. 4th of July festivities coming up, carnival, fireworks, it'll be great.
I think it's going to be a great time. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for watching ELCAT News Week in Review. I'm Yasmin Najibi.
And I'm Alexi Cohan. Good night.